First match in the quarterfinal stage of the FIFA World Cup 2026 has come to an end, and Africa's hope, Africa's desire to have a representative in the semifinals of the tournament has come crumbling down in the hands of the Lebrews. The mightiness of Morocco could not surpass, could not overcome the incredible talent, the incredible goal scoring ability of Kylian Mbappé and Moussa Dembele. On the day, France did indicate that they've got quality. They showed that they've got what it takes to break any opposition. If you look at the match that they played against Paraguay, defensive football, but at the end of the day, they were able to get the most important goal in that match. And the same thing did happen in the match against Morocco, where Morocco was a bit defensive compared to how they've played in this season. If you look at the group stages where they played against Brazil, they took the match to Brazil, they took the game to Brazil, they were on the front foot. But against France, they realized that no, if they go toe-to-toe with France, it's going to be a difficult task for them. And, rightly so, they were reserved. They played in the low block. Understandably, they want to, get France on the counter, but it did not work. It did not work because the French national team has so much quality. Even though the possession was 50-50, they were able, through creativity, they were able, through the ingenuity of Kylian Mbappé, to get a sumptuous and a beautiful goal. If you look at the Keller, the amount of space that he was able to create for himself, because I can tell you for the fact that wasn't a chance. That was a half chance. But that is what makes players good. You understand? For you to be recognized, for you to be out there to the best in the game, you need to be creating goals out of or half chances where nobody really did expect you to get a goal from it. And that's exactly what he was able to do. You look at how KG the first half was, where all where both teams were equally yoked, they were equally matched. There were a few chances here and there, and one thing that Morocco did do that was great was that defensively they were superb in the first half. They made sure that the spaces in between their defensive pair were solid. The spaces were not there. The French national team were not having success, through there. And Michael Olise, the first half wasn't too bright for him, because we know what he could do in that number 10 position. But the first half did not really go well for them because of how the Moroccan national team were able to set up, just to stifle the supply to Olise. Because, if you're playing a match against the French national team and they play Olise and Kylian Mbappé, all you have to do is to cut the supply to Michael Olise, because Michael Olise is the supply chain for Kylian Mbappé. And if you look at the matches that they've played from minute 1 till today, every single goal that Kylian Mbappé had scored, Michael Olise had an input or an impact in it. And rightly so, they did that in the first half. So cut off the supply from Michael Olise to Kylian Mbappé. But the question is that how long could Morocco have been able to do that? For 90 minutes, you're going to get tired, you're going to get a bit lethargic, and in those moments, that is where the creativity, that is where the sharpness of strikers like Kylian Mbappé and Dembele do come to the fore. And that is exactly what we saw, because if you look at the way Kylian Mbappé was able to get a first goal, and then because of that goal, Morocco did open up a bit more, to try as much as possible to get, an equalizer. But that was where they were hit on the counter again from Moussa Dembele, because if you look at where he took the ball from on the counter and then drove a low right foot shot into the post, where Bono had absolutely no chance. Even though he had a fingertip to it, he had absolutely no chance of trying to prevent that goal. But you have to understand, the French national team has so much quality. If Mateta, if Thuram are all starting from the bench, that should tell you the level of creativity, the level of talent that the French national team has. And to me, I would say that it was a great game, even though the results that I expected, or the results that the whole of Africa expected, which is Morocco had to defeat France, did not materialize, did not happen. But Africa should be proud, because now it seems like we are getting there, because hitherto, prior to 2022, we hardly do get teams into the quarterfinals, into the semifinals. But in 2022, we got Morocco into the semifinals. In 2026, we've got 9 teams into the round of 32, and then 3 into the round of 16th, and then we had one coming, one falling short, in Morocco. So we are getting there as a continent, because people don't really believe in what we could do in the World Cup, to the extent that when we had 9 automatic slots, a lot of the European pundits and South American pundits did question why Africa should be given 9 slots. But I believe that the performances of the teams that represented Africa in this year's tournament is telling, to the extent that we faltered where we should have done better. If you look at the match between Ivory Coast and then if you look at the match between Ghana and Colombia, Ghana should have been able to win that match. If you look at the match between Congo and England, where Congo led to the dying embers before they conceded 2 late goals. So it is something that it's going to take time for us to work on. But I would say that a big kudos to the teams that represented Africa in this year's championships, because, to be sincere with you, we did not disgrace ourselves at all. But back to the match again, I believe that Morocco is reaping the benefits of the years of investment, the quantum of monies and expertise that they have invested into their football. Because for them to have gone into the semifinals of the competition, the last time it was held in Qatar, and then nearly on the verge of qualifying to the semifinals again, that should tell you the seriousness. That should tell you how much they have invested, how much they have put into their football for them to have achieved so much success. And to me, I would say a big thank you to Morocco and the representatives from the African continents. But to France, I would say, hey, because you see, if you look at what Didier Deschamps have been able to do at the helm of affairs for more than a decade, because to be sincere with you, it is difficult for a national team coach to be at the helm of affairs for a decade. And Deschamps has been there for more than a decade. And he's not just there. He's achieved so much success, because he won the World Cup for France in 2018, led by Dembele. He went to the finals again in 2022, where they lost to Argentina, led by Lionel Messi, and now they are in the semis again. So it should just tell you the kind of work that Didier Deschamps and his managerial team have been able to do with the French national team. And it also lays credence to the fact that they have one of the best players in Kylian Mbappé, because in 20 matches at the World Cup, he has scored 20 incredible goals. And absolutely nobody, it is a no-brainer, absolutely nobody is going to criticize the impact of Kylian Mbappé in this French national team. And rightly so. He has ego, but he has brought his ego to the fore. He has justified the reason why he is the primus inter pares of this French national team. Because if you have ego, but you are not able to justify that ego, then it becomes a problem. But the whole French national team is playing for Kylian Mbappé, and rightly so. He has justified, 8 goals in this tournament, head-to-head with Lionel Messi, who also has 8 goals. So it is going to be interesting whether Kylian Mbappé or Lionel Messi is going to win the golden shoe award, because I don't think that Kylian Mbappé is going to win off, because the rate at which he's scoring, it is ridiculous. It is insane what he's doing with his French national team, and with the supporting cast of Dembele and especially Doué and Michael Olise. I don't think that there's any team in this tournament that is going to stop the French national team from winning the World Cup. We have the Champions League winner in Dembele. So the question is that, should the French national team go on to win the World Cup? Is he going to retain the Ballon d'Or? Is he going to retain the status of being the best player in the world? But you also have to take into consideration that throughout the season, during the championship, the Champions League winning campaign, he was injured. His impact wasn't that great. And even in this French national team, the impact is not that great. Even though he's gotten 5 goals there, the majority of the focus is currently on Olise and Kylian Mbappé. So the question is that, do you think Dembele, should they win the World Cup, has a chance to retain the Ballon d'Or, or per the impact of Kylian Mbappé, he should be given the opportunity to win the Ballon d'Or.